inequality. Our member organisations include organisations such as the National Women's Council, the Irish National Organisation of the Unemployed, Community Workers Co-op, Age Action Ireland, etc. We deal with really everybody experiencing poverty and inequality. We try to represent them collectively. So our members, as you can understand, were really concerned that in the run-up to the budget, the only option being presented to address the deficit was to cut vital public services such as education and health, cut social welfare, bring low paid into the tax net, tax people's homes, cut capital investment. These were the main options. Because we work directly with the people experiencing poverty and inequality, we know how that's going to affect them. Cutting vital public services is going to be detrimental to people we represent. They simply can't afford to buy them in the private sector. They can't buy home helps. They can't buy speech therapy in the private sector. They depend on public services. And they can't afford any further cuts to their low incomes, whether that be social welfare or low paid incomes, minimum wage. So while our members are really going to be arguing arguing against cuts, we as a collective decided we'd focus on other ways to raise that 3 billion. Well, when it was 3 billion back in the good old days. But for now I'm going to focus on that. And we worked with the Task and most specifically Michael Taft to try to identify 4 proposals that could come up with 3 billion. Proposals that wouldn't wreck the economy, that wouldn't have a detrimental effect on unemployment, that would actually have a positive effect, and that would protect low and middle income earners. So I'm going to very briefly go through the 4 proposals with you because I know that people are more keen to have the broader discussion. Okay? Now I hope I can do this. No. Okay. I'll skip some of this because Michael has covered some of this already and I won't go through it. I suppose that just some of the myths is that we have to have a low tax economy to be a successful, competitive economy. That's nonsense. If we looked at more successful countries, especially the Scandinavian countries, we see that they're highly competitive, they have high tax rates, good levels of public services, they can invest in business, they can invest in broadband, etc., and they can deal with poverty and inequality. So that's a myth that we have to have low taxation. And we have the lowest taxation in the EU. So we're down there with Slovakia, Latvia, and Romania. Okay. So I suppose we're looking at a broad piece of research to look at how the whole tax system could be redesigned to make it sustainable and equitable. But leading up to the budget, we decided we'd focus on 4 proposals to raise the 3 billion. Okay, our first proposal is to look at the issue of reducing tax breaks to EU levels. We have inordinately high levels of tax breaks in Ireland, 3 times the level of the EU. I'm sure people in the room know what tax breaks. It's the relief you get when you invest in your pension, when you invest in hotels, when developers invest in properties, etc. So in 2009 we lost 7.4 billion from tax breaks. And most of those breaks only benefit the highest income earners. People on standard rate of tax can only get the tax back at the lower rate, while if you're on the higher rate, you get it back at the higher rate. And for a lot of people, they don't have surplus income that they can invest, that they can put into their pension, put into their private. In relation to a wealth tax for high earners, there's a lot of talk at the moment about a property tax, a tax on people's homes. Not looking at all of the property that people have. For ordinary people, their home, yes, makes up the bulk of their wealth. But for people at the higher end of the scale of wealth, they have a lot more items in their whole property portfolio. This includes all their shares, their foreign properties, their commercial properties, bonds, etc. And all the luxury items like their vintage cars and their yachts, etc. So we're saying, why would you have a property tax that excludes all of that and just focuses on the family home? Issue of our friends, the tax exiles. We've over 6,000 of them in Ireland, and some of them are the very wealthiest people. What we're suggesting is if all citizens were taxed in Ireland, like what they do in the United States, people pay tax according to their citizenship. But we'd really only be focusing on high earners, people maybe earning over 250,000 or so, and who are living in the tax havens. We don't know how much we'd raise this way because, as you know, they live in those tax havens to avoid disclosing what their incomes are. But we feel that the Irish passport, there should be rights and responsibilities with that. Our final proposal is in relation to PRSI. There's a lot of anomalies in the PRSI system. Some income is included, others isn't. For example, if you earn over €75,000 in the year, you stop paying PRSI. The Commission on Taxation identified a lot of those anomalies and suggested they should be abolished. So if that was introduced and all income was liable to PRSI, it's a solidarity tax. We all pay in and we all benefit. We'd raise maybe about 300,000 in that way. So, as Michael has said, the government's proposals, they're going to cut money out of the economy. They're going to deflate the economy, increase unemployment, and disproportionately impact on low and middle income earners. On the other hand, what we're proposing is going to promote economic activity by increasing consumer demand, protecting jobs, protecting public services, and the incomes of low and middle income earners. That's it. We have a campaign which we launched on the 13th of September. We have a lot of information on our website around what we're trying to do. We're meeting with all the politicians.